All right. It's good to be here. Good morning. So we're going to talk about sustainability in video. And I'm not going to, give you all of the normal stats that, shows growth. And we know that, video is scaling. There's a ton of consumption. Consumers want to stream more. They want higher resolutions. They want better quality. So we know all that. So what I want to take just a couple minutes and talk about is the dirty, expensive problem. It's super interesting because I was having a discussion with someone not too long ago, and they were sort of lamenting or asking the question, how do we get more focus on sustainability? And how do we get more people to really take this serious? There's an easy way. When you solve the sustainability issue, you also reduce cost. And that's a really, really great place to start, because I think for a lot of our businesses, we are in modes right now where we're needing to remove cost from our operations. We're certainly not needing to add cost. At the same time, our consumer expectations are not declining. And the consumer is not willing to give up some quality of experience in exchange for, hey, but I am, in some way, more environmentally sustainable. So let me start here. The world data centers operating 24/7, collective consumption is expected to double over the next couple of years. So by 2025. And we have 8,000 data centers right now in the world that are, frankly, just polluting the environment. They are not helping us in this sustainability issue. So it's a dirty and it's an expensive problem, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Now, our primary focus is on video encoding. So obviously, when we talk about streaming a video, there's a lot of pieces that go into that, right? But there is the process of video encoding, whether that's live or VOD, where that original video file or that stream has to be converted. And so let's take a look at some of the approaches that you can use for that. Over on the left, we have ASICs, which ASICs are a dedicated circuit, a dedicated silicon that is able to be very, very performant. There is GPU. A lot of us are familiar with GPUs. And there's CPUs, so software just running on commodity x86 or ARM. If we look at the efficiency of those architectures or those topologies, ASICs actually require just 1% of the power, 1% of the energy consumption to be able to do the same amount of work. GPUs are a lot more efficient than CPU, but if we look at it from kind of a negative impact on the environment, GPUs contribute about 16%. CPUs are just polluting the environment. It's not a way to be sustainable. And this is why Google and Meta, so Facebook, built an ASIC. Not everyone knows that YouTube runs on ASICs. And so you don't have to be YouTube to be able to get the same efficiency. And that's what we are bringing to the market. That's what we brought to the market. So let's dig in a little bit deeper and talk about some real world, like what does this translate to? Okay. Most of us are not Google and Meta. So what does this translate to if you're operating 100 live channels? Maybe you've got 100 24/7 linear channels that you operate, and you're saying, okay, what's my savings? Starting with what's my savings in cost, and then that directly translates to energy and consumption. So what we're looking at here is, on the far left-hand side is Amazon EC2 Graviton instances. This is ARM. These are very, very performant. This is the lowest cost way to do video encoding on AWS. And probably a lot of us are running some of our service, if not all of it, on AWS. So if you are running 100 live channels, your 3-year, in this case, it would be OpEx, so that's why it's a blue bar, would be $311,000. That's for 1080p, and that's for H.264. So AVC codec. If you were to take that same workload and you said, you know what, I'm going to colo, so I'm going to go into, some colocation space, and I'm going to run my own servers, you actually can cut that down by a fair amount. Now you're going to spend $193,000 for that same workload. If you went to ASICs, you now are going to move more than 80%. You're going to cost reduce, and obviously your energy footprint is very significantly reduced. So your total savings, in terms of cost, which directly translates to energy savings because you're not running as many machines in this example, is very, very, very significant. And that's the advantage of an ASIC, of a dedicated circuit. Now, it's interesting that 20 years ago, it wasn't even possible to do video encoding on CPU. And so everything was dedicated circuits. It had to be ASICs. And then now we're coming back full circle. All right, so what we have designed is an ASIC that slashes your encoding footprint by 80%. But it does this by also packing in artificial intelligence, all the scaling, all the transcoding functionality. So these are not the ASICs that a lot of us might be thinking about, or if you have experience with some of the early generations, they were quite limited. Very limited in your configurability. There was not a lot of option to be able to customize it for your application. Our products are built for high scale video processing. I love, Frank, the watts per stream. We're very focused on that. Right now, our target, and this isn't a target that we hope to achieve, our users are getting 1 watt per 1080p live stream. You can't get anywhere near that with software on CPU, and that is with AV1, HEVC, and H.264. And that's 1080p resolution. So very, very, very phenomenal performance. And that's all possible with dedicated circuits.
From the perspective of each of your companies, I just wanted to get a view on when you first started hearing people come to you and actually include a sustainability as part of their motive for their conversation.
Some conversations that I've been a part of gets kind of too focused on like the end to end. Like we have to figure out every aspect of it. Like start somewhere. Like we're not going to solve it all end to end today. So an easy place is to go to the operations that you do control. And some of those are fairly easy to model. I mean, look, if you have X number of machines and you're able to cut that by 50%, for anybody who's been involved in, encoding, that, you evaluate encoders based on bitrate efficiency. Obviously, there's some sort of quality analysis. But the compute vector is now something that you no longer can say, okay, I'm just looking at bitrate efficiency. I'm looking at, it's now like, how many cores do I have to run? What's the energy consumption? So going back to watt per stream is actually a calculation that everybody should be doing.